All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Miguel.
How you guys doing? Welcome to the fourth day at the conference. It's probably going to be the last one for many of you, at least for me it's going to be. So I'm so excited about being here today because I won't be here tomorrow. Just kidding. So let's talk a little bit about data connectivity and data preparation. And we're also going to talk about custom connectors. My name is Miguel Jopis, and we'll have Matt Mason also co-present with me. He's actually running late. I think he fell asleep this morning, and he'll be joining in about 45 minutes. Just kidding, he's down here. So we're both members of the data integration team at Microsoft. Our team is we're actually a partner team to many of the end user products that you're probably using today. So if you use Power BI or Power Apps or Flow or Logic Apps or analysis services or the common data service for apps or Excel, all of those products leverage our technologies. Our technologies include connectors, they include the Power Query experiences, they include the on-premises data gateway, and much more. Also CDM, of course. Let's not forget about that one. So what are we going to do today? First, we're going to talk a little bit about why do we need data preparation, why it's so important, how does Power Query help. Before we go further, actually, how many of you already use Power Query? OK, most of you. So we'll do a little bit of a refresher on the basic concepts with just an initial demo, and then we'll jump quickly into features that we recently shipped. So it will be also a quick refresher for many of you, or maybe getting you up to speed. And even if you are actually fully up to speed with everything we've publicly released up until last week, we're actually going to show you even more. We're going to give you a sneak preview of demos of features that will be coming between now and the end of the year. And we'll also talk a little bit about our roadmap, particularly on Power Query. At the end, we'll also do a great walkthrough of creating, developing, and consuming connectors, custom connectors from Power BI that Matt will do for us. So let's talk about why do we need data preparation, and let's think about how the data acquisition and data preparation works today in the BI world. First of all, finding data and connecting to data is easy. Data is always readily available. It's easy to find and discover where you need to go to connect. Then the experiences to actually connect to these data sources are usually the same. Like, it doesn't matter if you're using Power BI or if you're using Flow. The experience is the same, and regardless of the data source as well. And in any case, the data is always in the shape you need. So you don't need to reshape it or cleanse it or filter wrong data or invalid values out. Nothing of that is relevant. Even if you need to do a little bit of it, it's super easy and quick to do. And you can also very easily combine data from multiple sources. Data volumes are small, simple data sets. They usually come from a single source. They don't change very often, right? OK, good. I was testing you guys. So now I know you're not asleep. So Matt probably is, but you guys are not. Good. So in reality, finding and connecting data is super hard. The experiences are fragmented on different end-user tools. They need to actually learn different ways to query depending on different data sources, query languages, different sets of transforms, because data is never in the shape that you need for consumption. And combining data, then, it's a nightmare. And of course, there's the three Bs of big data: the volume, so the data set sizes, the variety, or the disparity and the heterogeneous nature of data sources, and the velocity or the rate of change is different, vastly different. There are sources that change multiple times per second, and there are sources that don't change in a year. In fact, furthermore on this topic, according to Gartner, about 80% or so of the time is spent in data preparation when you need to do analysis and decision making. And I have a corollary to that. It's only that case when you don't use Power Query, right? OK, so how does Power Query help? First of all, it provides connectivity to lots and lots of data sources. We have 85, 87 connectors today in Power Query. Many of them actually allow you to get to many more sources. So for example, even if you're trying to connect to a data source that's not called out of the box, it might be that it exposes a REST API or an OData feed or an ODBC or OLEDB drivers or providers that you can actually plug into Power BI, into Power Query to actually go and connect to that source, even though it's not called out. And even furthermore, beyond that step forward, we'll talk about custom connectors later today for how you can enable first-class connectivity to many more sources as well. The experience to actually connect and preview data and explore the data and then perform transformations is actually very interactive and engaging. It's a point-and-click UI. You get to preview data, select a column, apply transforms, see the immediate feedback on the output results, and iterate on top of that. It's a very flexible environment to use. We'll do quite a few demos on Power Query with Power BI Desktop later today. The consistency of the experience. So we support hundreds of data sources, but the affordances, the capabilities that we expose for all of them for the end users are the same. It doesn't matter if you're connecting to a SQL Server database or if you're connecting to an SAP HANA server or to an Excel file or a JSON file. You're always going to be able to apply the transformations you need. You're always going to be able to do an unpivot, a filter, a group by operation, whatever you need, it's always available. There's cases in which the backend against that you're connecting is smart enough that it can process queries. So for example, SQL Server, and we're going to be able to push down the execution of those queries. So for example, you define a filter in Power Query on top of a SQL Server database table, we're going to be pushing down that filter statement, that select statement to the underlying source. In cases where there is no smart backend, so for example, you're connecting to a CSV file, in those cases, Power Query will compensate locally, and it will run those queries locally in the Mashup Engine. The last point here is about being able to combine data. So we have two main ways to combine data across sources in Power Query. One is a merge operation, or in database terms, a join, so adding columns to an existing table. And the other one is append, or in database terms, a union, which is adding rows to an existing table. And last, but definitely not least, the experience that we provide with Power Query is consistent across many different products. So Excel, since the 2010 and 2013 versions, has Power Query capabilities available as a separate add-in that you can download. And in 2016, we actually integrate Power Query out of the box, and it's currently the default get data experience within the data tab in Excel. Power BI with Power BI Desktop, the get data experience, the query editor experience, it's powered by Power Query. And the same goes for analysis services. So if you're using SQL Server developer tools to actually create analysis services tabular models, starting with the 1400 versions, you're going to be able to use Power Query to get data and define those tables in your tabular models. So what's Power Query? We kind of touched on this already, but it's a great experience for finding, connecting, and preparing and cleansing data. It's highly interactive, supports lots of data sources, hundreds of data transforms, and provides a consistent capability across all these data sources as well. So here's a little tour on the different experiences that we have for Power Query in the desktop. One is Power Query in Excel 2016. It's in the data tab. Get and transform is the name of that group in the ribbon where we are located. All the options within that menu are Power Query powered. Did I say enough times the word power? OK, Power Query in Power BI Desktop. Yeah, and Matthew is smiling because he has these really good power hour of power statements. The Power BI power hour of power, I think it was something like that. So in Power Query in Power BI Desktop, there's the get data experience, and there's the get data experience in SQL Server 2017 or SQL Server developer tools for on-premises Azure analysis, so for on-premises analysis services and for Azure analysis services. In both cases, you can use Power Query to author tabular models. The query editor, it's consistent and common across all of these experiences. So despite the entry points in different products they vary a little bit, the query editor is constant. It's a pop-up dialog that comes up, and it's your main environment for applying data transformations, filters, and cleansing steps. The Mashup Engine is the underlying brains behind Power Query. It's the engine that executes queries, provides a uniform set of query capabilities. It abstracts away the underlying sources. So think about it as the Power Query UI. It's a UI experience to design queries, point and click, but they generate a query text behind the scenes. So that query text is written in M. M is the query language behind Power Query. And the code that you generate in M gets run by the Mashup Engine. Now, the Mashup Engine would actually generate underlying statements, whether it's T-SQL or whether it's MDX or any other language, depending on the data source we're connecting to. And it would actually push those down to the data source backend wherever possible. We support over 300 transformations in the Mashup Engine. I think about 200 of them are exposed in the UI, in the query editor. Think about it as we try to cover the 80–90% case. And usually the pattern is that you would start by using the query editor UI to generate a basic query, and then maybe go and tweak the generated M either through the formula bar or through the advanced editor. And we're covering more and more of the scenarios that the advanced scenarios through the UI. So for example, a few years ago, you'd actually have to go into the advanced editor to actually create a function or parameterize a query and turn it into a function. Now all of those capabilities are supported through the UI, and we'll continue adding more and more to make it even more easy. The last point here is about the third-party custom connectors SDK or Power Query SDK, which will have on the last 30 minutes of the session, we'll have a great end-to-end demo. And with that, let's actually go and do a little bit of a demo on the Power Query overview. So we're going to start by going into the Power BI desktop UI. This is the welcome screen or the start page for Power BI desktop. And we're going to go get some data. What we're going to do in this first demo is actually very simple. We're going to connect to a file, such as this one, an Excel file, that has some data on it. But this data is actually not ready for analytics or for report consumption and visualizations because the structure is a little bit strange. The first row here actually has some city names with some spaces in between. Okay. The second row has something that looks like product categories, bikes, accessories, and so on. Now, the rest of column A has numbers. And these numbers, they increment by 1, and they're kind of in the range where we're living age-wise. So this kind of, okay, this is a year, I guess. And then there's some numbers in between, in the intersection of all of these. So, of course, it's easy for us as humans to understand that, for example, 2228 means that in the year 2004, for the product category called miscellaneous, in Seattle, we sold 2,228 units or dollars or something. We understand as humans what that intersection means. But this is by no means in a way that a machine could understand out of a box. So we're actually going to go and do some data transformations to actually get that data ready to go. So we're going to go connect to an Excel file. And this would be under my demos folder, Ignite September, PQ. Here's my multi-level spreadsheet. So now we're connecting to that spreadsheet, and Power BI Desktop is actually going to show us the list of interesting objects, in lack of a better common denominator, that are available in this data source. So in this case, because it's an Excel file, we're just showing you spreadsheets. If there were actually Excel tables or name ranges, they would also show up here. If this was actually a SQL Server database or another data source, we would actually show databases, and we would show tables, or we would show dimensions and measures and hierarchies, depending on the data source we are connecting to. But the experience is by and large the same. It always goes through this navigator dialog. So let's go select spreadsheet 1 and click Edit. And notice that I say spreadsheet 1 because I need to be very careful with my pronunciation of the short version of that word. Sorry, it's my accent. So now we are in the query editor, and we're looking at this same table, and we actually need to clean it up. So let me actually collapse that pane. The first thing we need to do is turn columns into rows. So if you're familiar with math and matrices, we're actually going to do a transpose operation. See, I sound smart now. Transpose, rows into columns. So what's next? We have now the first row actually has the, oh, something's missing here. What's going on? Yeah, we did lose the city. What happened? No, what did I do? Oh, I did promote headers. How did that happen?
Automatically.
You did? Really? Okay, wow, that's not good. That's not what I wanted to do. See, okay. I was so not expecting this to happen. So the first thing I need to do is a transpose. I think I accidentally clicked probably when I went looking for the transpose. But okay, now this is looking much better. So now let's go use the first row as headers. And now we have these first two columns with city and product category. So let's just rename them. And now what we need to do is actually fill in the blank values in the city column. So let's just select it, and we'll do a fill down operation. And now the last thing we need to do to actually get to the right shape is just turn the year columns into rows with a key pair, a year with the actual total sales number, which is an unpivot operation. And we're actually going to do an unpivot other columns operation, which means I've selected city and category, and I'm telling Power Query that whichever other column you find in this table, either now or in the future, unpivot it. This is really important because next year when we add a new column in the original file with the sales for this current year, this will just work. You don't need to come back and modify anything. It will just work. Let's actually clean up this, year and sales. Okay, and now we have the data in the shape we needed. So it took us, what, like a minute or two because I was like kind of dumb and I clicked the wrong button. But other than that, it was actually pretty good. So notice how, as I went through, we started adding a bunch of steps here on the task pane, on the steps pane. You could always go back and kind of replay them like a movie, so you can actually see the output on that specific step, and even go back and modify them either through the gear or through the formula bar. It's all, very easy to edit, and you could always come back and modify if need be. After all, what we're doing with this query editor experience is, as we were saying before, just generating a bunch of M code, which you can go and view either through the formula bar or in the advanced editor. And here's actually one of the first features we recently added, which is IntelliSense. And you can actually go and get syntax coloring and line numbers, and we can do white space removal and so on. It looks much nicer. But this is the code that we generated behind the scenes. So you see they map to the steps that we have. So we have the source step, and then the transpose, and the promotion of headers, and fill down, and so on and so forth. So this is just another view on the same query. Yes, I want to cancel. Okay, so that's a fairly simple first demo. Just a reminder for everyone who knew Power Query, or a quick intro for those who didn't. With that, let's come back and let's actually switch gears to a recap on features that we recently shipped. And we're going to actually talk just about a few of them because we did so many. There's about 25 or 20 something we did just in the last 6 months. Lots of enhancements for existing connectors, things like the SAP connectors, Google BigQuery connector, Adobe Analytics. We also released quite a few new enhancements around OData and other connectors. The ones that I actually wanted to call out are M-IntelliSense, which you just saw. So after a few years where I demoed this, we actually now demoed it while it actually shipped. This was the thing I was really looking forward at this conference, is to actually say, yeah, we just shipped M-IntelliSense. It's been my desire and my goal for the last 2 years, and thanks to Matt Mason, who actually implemented this feature. With that said, the other ones I wanted to talk about is the PDF connector. PDF was actually the #1 requested data source in Power BI for the last couple of years. Over 2,700 votes, I believe, in user voice, ideas.powerbi.com. And it's now there. It's available as a preview since the September release. Any of you tried the PDF connector already? Okay, so those 2,700 people. Okay, one is there. The other 2,699 will probably be somewhere else, but thanks. I hope you enjoy it, and I would love to catch up with you later on the feedback on the connector. With that said, the other two things that I wanted to highlight are our by example capabilities. And we do have 2 areas where we use this by example technology. One is to extract data from a web page, and the other one is to actually extract data from existing columns in a table. So let's actually go take a look at those features. The first example, we're going to use this website, Rotten Tomatoes, that has information about movies that are currently in theaters. And the information here is actually, it's in HTML, but it is not really a table, although, again, it's one of those where we as humans understand it as a table. You have this matrix with different movies, and for each of them, for each of the cells in this matrix, you get something that looks like a title, then a couple of ratings, and then you get the date where the movie was launched. And you could also understand that the fact that you have multiple cells here, they actually are the equivalent to a table with multiple rows, 1 row per cell, and then the actual values within a cell, they're the different columns in that table. Well, that's also very hard to understand for a tool. Let's actually use by example to actually make that work for us. And let's switch to this view. So I have preloaded my web page here inside Power BI Desktop, and I have this side-by-side view of the website with that content, and then an empty table at the bottom. So what I can do here is just start typing examples of the output values that I would like to see in my output table. So if I come in and I start typing the, what was that name? Sorry, the house with a clock in its walls. So you can just type that in. And a second example would be a simple favor. If we do that, automatically we detect the rest of the values. So you see how we populate it with watermark text, the ones that we think are what the user is trying to do. And it's actually the case. So we have the Nun and the Predator and the other movies right there. So let's actually call this title. We can do the same for other columns as well. So for example, if we do the rating, 66% for that house movie, then we automatically detect the rest, in this case with just one example. That's because you already did the previous column, we already understand what the repetition pattern looks like, which is just the different cells in that matrix. We're looking for that value. We could do the same for the release date. So in theaters, September 21. And it will just detect the rest automatically as well. So it's that easy to just extract data from any HTML content in Power Query and just get it ready for analysis. And now that I click Edit, we'll come back here and we'll have that table as a custom table. Ooh, that's not good. OK, here we go. So now I have a table loaded in the query editor from that website. Now, the second experience for by example that we've already delivered is the ability to extract data from existing columns in a table. And that could actually get very complicated. So the reason why we did this feature is that we want to target many different users ranging from different skill sets. Many of them actually don't have the mindset to go and figure out from a starting point with a data set to the end desired result, what are the sets of transformation steps they need to apply one by one and figure out that strategy, if you want to call it like that, to clean their data or to reshape their data. The second reason is that even for those who might actually figure that out, it's hard for them to find the right entry points for those operations in either the ribbon or context menus. In some cases, you actually need to even type advanced formulas with them and custom columns and stuff like that. So we invested on this feature. It's available under the Add Column tab. You can go Add Column, Column from Examples. And you can start typing then the sample values that you'd like to see. And you could actually chain and compose as many operations as you want. So for example, I could do something like the last name, uppercase, comma, the first name, and then parentheses. And this is the hardest part of the demo, is typing that properly. And in this case, we actually didn't get it right, but you can always provide a couple more examples to disambiguate. The last one here is going to be you guys are all watching for my typos, aren't you? OK, so there we go. Now it actually worked. Let's commit this. And oops, you'll find later in this session why I'm running into that error. But now you see that we actually generated that whole name in just one single shot. And if you look at the formula that we generated, it's actually pretty intense. So you would have had to do this sequence of steps, either with multiple steps or a custom column, to actually get to the same result that I just got to by typing 3 sample values. So I'm pretty excited about these capabilities. We'll have many more coming in terms of by example capabilities, so stay tuned for more. And let's switch back to the PowerPoint, because now I want to talk about what's coming. So let's talk about upcoming features. I like to split this in 3 main buckets. One is new connectors. The second one is how do we improve existing connectors. And the third one is how we improve everything else, including data preparation and transformations and the query editor in general. So on the first bucket, new connectors, we're working on a connector for AtScale and SBase, which will include both import and direct query capabilities. And additional connectors, we have a strong ecosystem of partners who are investing in building their own connectors. We can call out a few examples like Exasol, Denodo, and Jethro Data, and a few more who are actually working with us on developing their connectors and getting them certified for Power BI. So if you do want to connect to something else that we cannot get directly, that would be my recommended approach would be either build a connector yourself, or if you get access to that ISV who owns the data source, just tell them about these Power Query Custom Connectors SDK so they can develop their connectors and work with our team to get them certified. Improving existing connectors. The IBM DB2 connector, we released a preview of direct query a couple months ago. So we're going to continue evolving it and making it available in the service through the on-premises data gateway for refresh and direct query scenarios. SAP HANA and SAP BW, lots of activity here. Probably the ones worth calling out are the single sign-on capabilities for HANA based on SAML. We already have Kerberos-based single sign-on, so we're adding SAML. And the last one is the ability to change variables in the PowerBI.com report consumption experience. That's actually a longer lead activity or investment that will light up sometime in the next calendar year. For BW, we're going to add Kerberos-based single sign-on as well, this hopefully in the next couple months. And we'll also invest on the same ability to change variables for report consumers. BRK and the HT Insight connectors, HT Insight interactive query connectors, they're going to get to GA in the October release, and that will include supporting the service. In one case, BRK through the gateway, in the other case, just cloud-to-cloud direct connection. The last bucket, query editor capabilities. So the M-language intelligence capabilities that I showed you in the advanced editor, we're going to expand that to make them available also in the formula bar and in the custom column dialog. Matt is actually working on that. Not right now, but he's working on that outside this week. The last category here ties back to the by example stuff that I showed you. Is more along the lines of a smart AI-driven data preparation. So I actually coined this term because everyone says they do either a smart data preparation or they do AI-based capabilities. So our AI is also smart, right? It's double smart. But we're going to continue investing on by example capabilities. The PDF connector is also built based on the by example capabilities. We'll continue enhancing the HTML connector. We'll do more along the lines of extracting data from existing tables based on by example, on top of text sources, CSV data as well. So it's a very innovative area, in my opinion, and we're going to continue taking advantage of the great momentum we have on that one. Data profiling in the query editor. So this is actually something I'm going to demo in a few minutes. And if you ask me, it's actually a very exciting feature because the query editor, as we were saying, provides hundreds of data transformations. So you can filter data, you can remove duplicates, you can remove blank values, you can figure out how to clean up errors, like cell-level errors in your data. But it's sometimes hard to figure out that that's the thing you need to do because it doesn't pop out. There's no visual indication that that's happening, so you need to double-check things or maybe more than twice to actually figure out that that's the issue you're running into. We're adding visual capabilities so that these issues are going to be much easier to find, and we'll show you a little bit what we mean by that. It includes outliers, missing values. We'll show you distribution of values per column, and much more. The last one here is the ability to use a fuzzy matching logic for merge operation. So this is a common scenario where you're trying to join or merge two different tables and using a column to match where the values on both sides are just slightly different. So we're going to give you fuzzy matching capabilities so you can compare based on a certain similarity threshold. You could ignore uppercase or casing in general and white spaces and so on. So we're going to actually demo the last two, data profiling and fuzzy merge, right now. So let's actually switch to that. So speaking about fuzzy merge, I have this very simple example with a table with employees or people where I have a first name column, Bill, Will, William, and Zoo. And then we have sales, and the sales table has one entry for each sales record that has the sales ID, and then it has the name of the employee or the person who closed that sale. And we have different variations here. We have Bill, Will, William, and lowercase and uppercase versions of that as well. So if we go back to the original table and we go do a merge, traditionally you would just see this UI where you say, well, I want to join these two tables and I want to use my first name and my salesperson column, and it will tell you the selection has matched 3 out of the first 4 rows. So it's actually missing some values. What we're adding, and this is coming in the October release, is the ability to use fuzzy matching to compare the merge with that checkbox. And we also give you advanced fuzzy merge options. And this is actually hard to demo in such a small resolution. But OK, I think that will do. So what we see here is a value you can specify for the similarity threshold between 0 and 1. We pick some smart defaults. Ignore casing, ignore spacing. The last two things that are hard to see is the max number of matches. So you could specify, give me up to the best 2 fuzzy matches for a specific row. And the last thing at the bottom is a transformation table. So you could actually define custom synonyms. So you could say maybe that Miguel equals Mike, although the similarity of the values is not that close. I'm going to trust my accessibility support to just hit enter and hope that actually did what it should do, and it actually did, so I'm happy. So now we landed that column. And so if we look at it, let's actually use the master detail view. So I click in the background, and I see the results on that nested table with the sales, with the matching records. So for Bill, we get matches on Bill, uppercase, lowercase, as well as Will. And for example, if we look at William, we get uppercase, lowercase, and also something like Willia, which is missing an M, and it's also lowercase. Again, you can adjust the similarity threshold to be more restrictive or more open-ended as you will to kind of tweak it for specific scenarios. And hope this is useful. We'll continue investing on these capabilities. One that we'll probably work on next is the ability to normalize values within a column. So for example, if you're looking at this first name column, you'd be able to say normalize, and based on that, we'll clean up. Actually, the other one would be better. Based on this, we'll clean up based on the number of occurrences for each value, and we'll cluster them. So we'll do Bill, we'll cluster them all to uppercase Bill instead of the variations, and then so on and so forth. So that's what we call fuzzy replace, which I think I mentioned in the slide deck. Now, the last feature that I wanted to show you is data profiling in the query editor. We should be here, all right? So you probably noticed throughout my demos that there's these weird bars on top of the tables, like on top, below the column headers. They were all green, so you probably didn't pay much attention, but what those means are actually the column health or column quality. In this case, though, I have a single column with a bunch of numbers, which, one could think it's actually all right. But now with this profiling information, we actually detect that there are some errors. So we see there's 42 errors. 4% of the values in these columns have errors. And we give you an option, a recommended transform, to actually go and remove errors right from here. And when you do that, we just applied a remove error step that actually gets rid of those values. Of course, you could have done other things. So for example, you could have seen that and then say, well, I'm actually going to go and keep only the rows with errors. So you could do that through the existing keep errors UI. And that will tell you, OK, these are my errors. And of course, now 100% of them are errors. And if you click on them, it actually says, we couldn't convert to number. And there's some of them that, that have those errors. So I have some values like meh and so on. And one, not a number. Yeah, I did some stupid replace operations to make it stand out. But that's basically what's happening. In this case, I had a column with text, and I tried to convert to numbers. And some of them weren't actually proper number values. So now we make it much easier for you to recognize those. We also allow you to expand the column quality numbers, so you can actually get them also as a summary of values. And we also support column distribution and profiles, which I'm going to show you on this second table. So in this table, many more columns. So you actually see also the distribution of values. So let's look at something like the contact title column. First of all, we don't have neither errors or empty, so we're good in that regard. We don't need to take care about filtering those out or anything. Now you also see a distribution of values, and this is a summary view. We plan to make many more enhancements here. But one thing that's already pretty useful here is that it tells you how many values are distinct, how many distinct values within this column. So basically, the number of different values that we see in the rows in this column. And the second one is how many of those are unique, or how many of those only happen once. We also allow you to do a remove duplicates operations, if you will, to actually ensure that you only have one. And the last part, so everything that I showed you up to this point is shipping in a couple weeks in the October release of Power BI Desktop. The last part is the column profiles, which you can enable when you go click on a column. And this is the reason why we were seeing the other strange errors before, because this is actually a hacked up build. But ignoring that, this is roughly what it will look like. As you see, we still have some rough edges here with the axis, and we're investing in improving those visuals, so that's why this feature will take a couple more months, this part of the feature. But it allows you to see actually much more detailed column statistics. So you see the count of values, errors, distinct and unique, which is kind of a repetition of what we were seeing up there. But you also see the column distribution values. So for example, if you mouse over that one, we see that the most repeated value in this column is owner with 17 values. You can actually group by different criteria as well. So for example, if we switch to another table, such as orders, you can see that for a given column, such as the order ID, which in this case is actually a key column, we can actually, ignore that. You can actually group by different criteria. So we show you the number of values grouped by the different value. And we can also show you the number of occurrences grouped by the length of those texts, which in this case, surprisingly, is not working, but we should have seen it is actually a single bar with, I think it was 6 characters. So that allows you to ensure, for example, that an ID column has the exact number of characters that you're expecting to see on it. Let's actually look at another column, for example, the ship address. So when we look at a column with dates, we actually provide you way more ways to aggregate this data. So you can look at this ship address column grouping by years, and surprisingly, it's not working either. OK, well, let's forget. Believe me, you would see different columns, and it would group by year, by month, by day of the week, Monday through Sunday, and by day of the month as well. So all of that is coming. We're also investing in the ability to actually export these results. As you can see here at the bottom, column profiling is based on the top 1,000 rows of the preview. So again, following with the current principle of the query editor being just a subset of your data, we give you the top 1,000 rows as a preview. Over time in the future, we're planning to probably allow you to opt in to see these profiles over an entire data set, but beware of the potential performance issues of that if you're working against thousands and thousands or millions of rows on top of a non-performant data set, because we're going to have to pull all that data in memory and then do all of those aggregates. So just keep that in mind. But that's kind of where we're headed with the query editor. More by example, more data profiling capabilities. And beyond that, we're looking at much more AI-driven experiences, which I won't get into the details now, but hopefully by the next conference, we'll have a bunch of more demos to show you. With that said, I did promise Matt 35 minutes for custom connectors, and I over-delivered because we have 39. While he gets set up, you guys have any questions so far on the aspects that I showed? Yes, question? Thank you.
Is there a way to use Power Query as an ETL for import into a SQL table?
Yeah, so the question is whether there's a way to use Power Query as an ETL tool to ETL data into SQL Server database, I assume. The answer is currently no. If you think about the way we actually release Power Query, it's embedded within a specific product experiences, like Excel, Power BI, and so on. We actually have a Power Query online version that we just released as part of the Common Data Service for Apps. So that would be one way in which you could get data into the Common Data Service for Apps, not into SQL Server. But it's a way to get data into a transactional system from which you could start building apps. We're also integrating Power Query Online with Power BI data flows for ETLing data into a data lake, into an Azure Data Lake storage. In terms of SQL ETL into SQL Server, it's really something that should be driven by, in this case, I'm assuming the SQL Server Integration Services team, which is in charge of that charter. There's nothing that stops them from actually making that integration work, so I would recommend to share that feedback with them so they can consider it for their future plans. The question is, do we have any plans for a debugger? And I see Matt is smiling because he's excited about working on that feature.
Yes, that is on top of my wish list. As somebody who's creating custom connectors on almost a daily basis, at least for various reasons, I'd love to have an M debugger be able to step through. I think in the next little while, we're going to be seeing more and more development focused. As more people are writing M, the tooling requirements are going up. So we're going to see more and more advanced developer-focused tooling come out. Wouldn't say it's in the immediate future. We have a number of things to do to get there. But yes, I totally understand your pain and would like to do that too.
Yeah. Question over there?
For the guy who wanted to use Power Query to do ETL, you can do it through Power BI, use an R script as your last step to put it in SQL.
Yeah, so
that's a good point, actually.
The comment there is you can use an R script to dump out the data. Yeah, we're aware of the demand and people wanting to do that. They're full transparent. There have been talks with the SSIS team, ADF teams, other things. Like Miguel said, if this is a feature you want to see surfaced in those ETL products, definitely go to talk to them. I always like saying Power Query is taking over the world. We want this experience to be everywhere. And so as there's more and more customer demand, we get the ability to add into those products.
Yep. Question?
But if you need the email of who to send these to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question?
Do you guys have a plan on Power Query for the OData feed to support OAuth?
So I can talk a bit about that. So the question is, do we plan to add OAuth support for OAuth feeds? So hopefully I'll have time to talk about that. OAuth is one of those interesting things where it's a standard, but everybody does it slightly differently. There's a lot of flexibility. So there's no such thing as generic OAuth. I can talk about how you address that in a custom connector, because that's really the only way to do it today. That said, we do want to make it easier to do, if your service supports Azure Active Directory, AAD-based flows, that's something that we can standardize, and so that's something that we can build in. But yeah, I'll talk about that in the custom connector section.
Cool. Question?
Any thoughts on just changing the preview instead of it just being top 1,000, allowing you to say randomly getting 1,000 records?
That's a great suggestion. So the suggestion or question is about, do we allow you to configure and create custom samples instead of the top 1,000, just allow you to define a different sample criteria, like maybe distinct values within this column and give me a distribution of those and so on. So currently there isn't, but I'd recommend you to go both for that idea, and we can consider it for our next round of planning as well. More questions? One at the back.
Within the profile, when you're actually looking at the chart of distinct values, any chance you'll just be able to click on one of those and have that apply as a filter so you can see what those things are?
Yeah, actually, thank you. That's a great reminder because I forgot to mention it. And since we're still on my screen, I'm going to show you what we wanted to do there. This actually was not set. I don't know that guy, but he's really smart because he brought up a great question. So imagine that when you mouse over one of the columns that we see here, you'd be able to right-click on it and apply filters. So these would be the same filters that you could do today if you right-click on a cell. So it would do all of these filters for either a text column, or even in a date column, we have way more filters that you can apply as well. And of course, once you go into one of those, it would just kick into the usual experience. So it would give you, wait, I didn't click fine. It would give you an error, but besides that, it would actually give you the full filter rows dialog. So from within here, you could even create even more complex statements with and, or, many more types of filters, or even advanced filters with multiple clauses and different and or behavior. So great question. We're thinking about data profiling as visibility into what's going on, and then in situ entry points for transformations that you can already do through other ways in the product, but that we want to make more prominent. Yep, one more question and then we'll leave.
You guys noticed stopped crashing?
No, I didn't throughout my session. I was just teasing you. I will have to check with folks like Amanda and Will Thompson. Probably stop by the Power BI booth. A bunch of them are going to be there. Last question. Yeah, so it's something we are, it's not going to be available on the first release, but it's something we're looking at to allow you to export either to clipboard or to an Excel file that gets generated out. Great, so Matt, all yours.
Great. So let me jump over to my slide deck, my machine. So great, my name is Matt Mason. I'm going to spend the rest of the session talking about custom connectors. I'm not going to go too much into the details. I figure this is a sort of a mixed audience. There's other recordings of the session where I go in and build the connector and actually show the code and go into details. For this session, I decided just to do an overview of what you can do with custom connectors, sort of how you use it, and sort of highlight the features that we've lit up over the past few months. Custom connectors has been a long journey for us. There's always one more Power Query feature that we need to work on or put out rather than focusing on our extensibility models, so you guys can extend the product as well. But we are pretty much there. We still have some work to do, but right now the current state is you can develop connectors. You can give them to your users. You can configure them for end-to-end refresh, and that works for both a personal gateway, enterprise gateway. It supports direct query through custom connectors. This is what I'm going to show today. And you can even do custom OAuth flows through the gateway, configured through powerbi.com. So end-to-end, you can now create custom connectors and connect to whatever data sources you want. That quick summary of what you can do with custom connectors. Main thing, of course, is adding new data sources to Power BI. And actually, the majority of data sources that have been added to Power BI in the past 2 years or so have all been done through the same custom connector framework. If you have a custom data source you've been wanting to connect to, I highly recommend trying this out and building that custom connector to enable those data sources for Power BI. One of the most common use cases for a custom connector is to create an analyst-friendly view over a REST API. So, for example, you're connecting to a REST end service, REST web service. You submit a request, you get back this JSON document that is very difficult to deal with for a regular analyst. You need to drill down to the columns, do a lot of reformatting, and that is essentially what you can do inside of the custom connector. The whole extensibility model for Power BI for M connectors can be thought of as just wrapping existing functions. Right? So you're actually using the built-in M functions to connect to backend data source and then providing built-in transformations around that data to nicely format it for your end users. So rather than getting back the raw record, you can format it as a navigation table with tables, data types, schema, and you can start adding advanced capabilities like filtering and things like that. But the general idea is that it becomes very easy to create the custom connector. Implementing OAuth flows. This was a question before. A really common requirement is that a web service supports OAuth. And so for those who don't know, OAuth is that dialog, right, that pops up and you log in and you get an access token. And the whole idea is that the underlying application doesn't get your username and password. They get an access token that can be refreshed, right? So you're not sharing your password with a whole bunch of different apps. And that token can be revoked centrally and the apps can no longer connect. So it's a great mechanism. The problem is that there's no one fixed standard for it. So every site does things slightly differently. And so generally, if a site supports OAuth, you need to have a custom connector to be able to connect to it. Building blocks for Power BI apps. So if you've taken a look, so from the PowerBI.com service, you can go and instantiate apps. And the whole idea the idea behind Power BI apps is 5 minutes to wow, right? Where the user comes in, provides a minimal set of information, maybe just logging in, and they get a fully functional dashboard, report, and models, queries. Everything just brings in. It's basically a way of highlighting the data within your service, showing off the types of analytics and the types of data that your service can provide. And of course, if Power BI can't connect to it natively, it requires a custom connector. We have a Power BI apps team that can go and enable your connector in the Power BI service to make this work end to end. If you have a service you want to highlight to your users, highly recommend taking a look at this content pack program. Direct query for ODBC drivers. So a lot of the partners that we're working with currently to enable certified connectors in Power BI are big analytics partners. That have these powerful databases that they want to expose to Power BI in direct query mode. Exasol is one I can think of, and we're working with a number of others. So while you can create a direct query capable connector over an ODBC driver yourself, I highly recommend talking with the partner, because unless you're highly familiar with the ODBC driver itself and backend capabilities, it can be tricky getting all of the queries, all the supported direct query queries actually working. But it's definitely a viable option. Finally, just to impress your friends. And if your friends aren't impressed by custom connectors, I highly recommend finding some more interesting friends. So essentially how it works is you have a data source that you want to connect to. You will download the Power Query SDK, which is currently an add-in for Visual Studio. It works with Visual Studio 2017 and 2015. You can develop your custom connector. You can run and test within Visual Studio. You can then load it in Power BI Desktop for testing purposes. What you're essentially doing is writing an M program or an you're using M queries to build that custom connector. You can register it in Power BI Desktop. You just drop it into a local folder, and Power BI Desktop automatically picks it up. Recent features, you no longer even need to restart Power BI Desktop to pick up new connectors. Just drop it into the folder where it'll automatically update your Get Data dialog and make your data connector appear. And you can distribute it to your users. I will share details later. We have a certification program. Our roadmap for the best ways to get these connectors out to your users. Okay, so enough of overview. I will jump right into a quick demo. So the code I'm going to show here is available on GitHub. I'll provide a link at the end so you can download and try it out yourself. The idea here is that I have an on-prem data source running in SQL Server. This is my own business app. I'm using the wide world importer sample, if you're familiar with SQL Server samples. But say this is a business app that I have running on-prem with SQL Server. And maybe the structure of that SQL Server isn't quite, or the tables and schemas isn't quite ready for end user consumption. I want to provide a nicer experience for my analysts. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. I've created a custom connector. I'm essentially declaring a new data source type, a new function, and then I'm calling our built-in odbc.dataSource function, setting some fixed connection string options, and that's essentially my entire connector. Right? I'm calling into base function, and I get to leverage all of the capabilities that the built-in ODBC connector gives you, like query folding and even direct query access. I can write some tests. We have a quick unit testing framework. So in this case, I have this test file. I define my different tests. I can run in Visual Studio. I get my results. That's the result of the unit testing framework. But I can run simple queries and bring back data using my custom connector to sort of test and iterate. It's a very basic experience now, but you can imagine a full Power Query type experience eventually part of the SDK, right? Great. So once I've created my custom connector, I build. And what this is going to give me is a MEZ file, an MEZ file. And the MEZ file is essentially the custom connector. This is currently just a zip file containing your custom connector, your icons, your resources. One of the main reasons to create a custom connector is to get branding, so you can actually have a nice name rather than giving my analysts a SQL Server address and steps to connect via SQL Server. I can give them this connector, and it automatically connects to the right backend source for them. Right? So what I will do is take that connector, copy it over to my custom connector directory, which is under Documents, Power BI Desktop, Custom Connectors. The Power BI Desktop installer will create this directory for you. Once I drop it into that folder, it will appear in Desktop. So I click Get Data, bring up my Get Data thing, and now my connector is now registered. I have a wide world importers connector. I have provided an icon. I can provide function description. I've simplified this connector so much that the user doesn't have to type in a server name or anything like that. It's all hard-coded within the connector to make it as easy as possible. I connect, a warning that it's a preview. You see I get the same navigator experience that you'd get from connecting just directly to the SQL Server or via ODBC. I'll select a couple of dimensions and facts here just to load. I've enabled this connector for direct query, so I actually get the choice. So by default, your connector is going to do import. In this case, because I'm wrapping ODBC and because I'm connecting to a very highly capable backend like SQL Server, I can enable direct query. If you're connecting something to something like a REST API, enabling direct query wouldn't be an option because we can't push all of that work to the backend. We can only import the data in. Every custom connector can do import. Only a few highly capable ones can do the direct query. In this case, I'll just pick direct query. So it's going to bring in the metadata rather than all of the data. Evaluating here. And you'll see I get a lot of functionality by default. I didn't have to define relationships or anything like that in the custom connector. Again, we just inherited all through our base connectivity. So because the ODBC driver or the ODBC connector knows how to surface relationships, I get all that for free. Something like connecting to an OData service, I'd get the same thing. All of the functionality that an OData service provides, so custom filters, relationships, that all just gets automatically surfaced. I don't have to code it myself. Great. So let's switch over to a report that I've already created. So this is same data set. And you see I have direct query enabled, and I can click around and filter, and it's updating. And I want to publish it to the service so I can share it out with my users, or share this report out with my users. That's where the gateway comes in. So if you think about how the connectors work, what you're doing is defining a new function, right? A custom function that gets registered with the M engine, so Power Query knows how to interact with it. For it to be refreshable through the service needs to know about that this function exists as well. And the way we do that today is with the on-prem gateway. So in the past couple of months, we've enabled this new functionality. If you open up the gateway, in this case it's the gateway running in enterprise mode, I can configure a custom connectors directory. In this case, I've configured it to be the same user directory as my user, just for simplification purposes. As soon as I drop the connector in there, my new connector shows up here, right? So I can see that my connector is now registered through the gateway. Now that the gateway knows about it, I can go to Power BI and actually configure that as a data source. So let me go over to that. Let's bring up the Power BI gateway administration UI. I get there by going to my gear, saying manage gateways. I see my gateway running on my current laptop right here. I'll say add sources. I give it a name. And now my drop-down list contains my new data source, my custom data source. All right, and this should automatically register itself up into the service. We detect that the authentication type, in this case, I set it to Windows Auth, so I will provide some Windows credentials for my gateway to use for refresh. I click Add. It's going to run a test connection in the background. Assuming that everything's OK, it says, OK, connection is good to go. Now from Power BI Desktop, my other Power BI Desktop, I can click Publish and send this up to the service. So with the personal gateway experience, enterprise gateway experience, you go and pre-configure your data sources before publishing. With personal gateway, you go from when you view your data set and you configure scheduled refresh, you have the option to just select your gateway at that point, and it will find the connector if it exists there. Question? So great question. The question is, how does this work with report server? I'll talk about that in a bit. Today, this only works with Power BI. It is on the report server roadmap to add support for custom connectors, but it's not there today. Question?
So if you add a connector, a custom connector that connects to an on-prem data source, if somebody uses that custom connector in desktop outside of the network, will it work?
Great question. So the question is, if I have an on-prem data source with a custom connector and somebody's outside the network trying to connect to the data source from Power BI Desktop, will it work? No. So desktop always makes a direct connection. Desktop won't go through the service to connect through the gateway. So desktop always needs a direct connection to the backend. If that said, you can use the report creation experience in PowerBI.com to then connect if the data source is registered as a data set. And so you can do that. You don't get the full capabilities of Power BI Desktop, but you can do some report authoring in PowerBI.com.
So to do it desktop, we just then share a data set and then they can connect to the data set?
That would be the other way to do it. So from desktop, you publish it as a data set to Power BI service, and then from desktop, you connect to it as a Power BI data set. Yeah, correct.
The other option here, which is not yet available, but the enable that is using Power BI data flows, and you don't get support custom connectors yet, but that's also not
So the comment here is through data flows as well. And I'll talk about that in a bit. So today, Power BI, the custom connector is PowerBI.com, Power BI Desktop. But we want to extend that to all Power Query experiences, including Power Query Online, which means that you can bring data in via data flows and connect directly to that. The experience there would be very similar. You drop the connector into the gateway, and then it would suddenly automatically register itself in Power Query Online. It would just show up as a new data source in the Get Data dialog. Great. So now I go to my report that I published. And if everything went well, I should be able to open this up. And so what this is doing behind the scenes is from PowerBI.com, it is connecting through the service to my gateway, which is connecting to a local SQL server, and returning my data back to me, all via the custom connector. So once you've created a custom connector, it works just like any other built-in M function. It's basically registering this new function available to the engine. And I have full interactivity. Great. Now let's go back. Any other questions about that before I go back to the slides? Back to the debugger question. Yes, we would love to have the debugger, and it would surface as part of that experience. So I'll talk a bit about later. We are going to replat the SDK onto VS Code. And part of the VS Code, one of the advantages of VS Code is they have a much better defined debugger interface, as well as just general language and tooling support. So once we move over to VS Code and we have on par capabilities with full VS, debugger would be a close step after that. Debugging functional languages is always an interesting thing, but we think we have a way of making it working. Yes. So question about any plans to make it, make M, I assume, generally available as a connector in Visual Studio or make it deployable as part of your application. Come by the data integration booth after to chat about that. I'll be there right after the session. I think there's a lot of interesting things that we can do there, and it's one of the areas that we're exploring. But back to the comment before about can I use the goodness of Power Query outside of Power Query? Can I embed it in apps and ETL tools and things like that? It's definitely somewhere where we want to go. We'd love to get there. At the same time, we have to make our Power BI core customers happy. So it's a matter of priorities, right? It's all about trade-offs and the scenarios that we're taking on. So quickly, I'll go back, and then we should have some more time for questions. I'll invite Miguel back up. Let's do this. Great, so quick summary. There's a landing page. We have a new documentation landing page for Power Query. Gives you overviews, links to the documentation, and functional references on going through and creating connectors. Actually, quickly, I want to go back to my web. First, I need to stop my presentation. Quickly, I want to show you our web pages. So great, we have a new Power Query landing page. It's all the Power Query documentation. There's a link here about developing your own connector. There's also a link on certifying the connectors and the requirements to do that. The main certification requirement is that you are certifying an API that you own. Right, so you're not creating connectors for third parties. Our current certification program is for people who actually own the APIs that they are certifying. On the GitHub repo, there's a number of samples. There's actually a step-by-step set of tutorials called Trip-In that will walk you through creating a connector against a REST API service, and it sort of layers on the complexity from simple connectivity to auth to navigation tables to full-on query folding, passing down filters, things like that. So it gets progressively more advanced. And then finally, the samples I wanted to mention. So this is the custom connector samples as well as the Power BI workbooks that were shown in this demo today. Quickly, I think that covered all of the links. Right, general steps, you download the extension. If you go to the Visual Studio Marketplace, you'll find it Power Query SDK. 2017, 2015 supported. You create a new data connector project, and then once you've created your connector, you copy it into the Power BI Desktop Custom Connectors directory. Quick summary of where we're at today. So we have the SDK for Visual Studio. As I mentioned, the experience is currently targeted primarily for Power BI consumption scenarios. The connectors are supported in both desktop as well as the service via the on-prem gateway. Direct query over ODBC connectors is viable and possible. In theory, you can create a full direct query connector just purely in M, but I don't recommend it at this point without the debugger. And there is a certification program. What's coming soon, the concept of trusted connectors. So today in Power BI, if you're using custom connectors, you'll notice that if you just take a MES file and drop it into a directory, by default you will get a warning that's saying, hey, this is not a trusted or certified connector. Are you sure you want to load it? This was a security requirement because, of course, connectors deal with credentials, and we want to make sure you know what you're doing. And there's an option to disable that warning to load that connector. Right now, it's an all or nothing approach. Very soon, we'll be adding a feature where we allow third parties to sign their connectors, and then you will trust the signature for that partner. For example, I was talking with the CData team that are in the Expo Hall. For example, CData would sign their connectors. The first time you load a connector, it'd say, do you trust CData connectors? You say, yep, and then from that point on, you won't get the warning. Office Store integration is something we definitely like to do, similar to the way custom visuals works. And then support across the whole range of Microsoft products that require connectivity, including the Power Query experiences. Excel, Report Server, Power Query Online, Flow, Power Apps, right? We want to light up this stuff everywhere. And also, I had mentioned quickly the Power Query SDK for VS Code is one of the things we'd like to do in the near future. OK, any other questions? Yeah. OK.
What's the best way of giving your team feedback and engaging with your team?
So the question is, what's the best way to engage the team in feedback? Coming by the booth is definitely one way. You can talk to us directly.
Yeah, so using, depending, if you're coming from the Power BI side, use ideas.powerbi.com. If you're coming from the Excel side, there's also a user voice forum for Excel. We monitor all those very frequently. We also have forums, so if you're running into issues or questions, go interact with the Power BI community or Excel community. We monitor those very closely as well.
On the SDK itself, we're trying to put better mechanisms into tracking issues so we can reporting issues. We haven't been so good with that so far. But yeah, that's another thing. Specifically for SDK-related issues would be tracked there. Great question. Anything else? Yep.
Yeah, I have one regarding the fuzzy matching. Is there any way to get a column on the percentage on the match?
Yeah, great question. The question is regarding the fuzzy matching capabilities that I showed, and the suggestion is to allow to get an extra column with the actual similarity score for a specific match. We're not going to do that out of the box with the merge function, but we do have an M function that given 2 columns, it will return the similarity score, so you'll be able to add that as a custom column.
Question?
Yes?
As a follow-up to that one, for the data profiling data in general, is that going to be available so that it can be stored as part of the ETL process outside of the Power Query UI?
Yeah, so the question is whether we're going to make the data profiling statistics available. We're going to make them exportable. And I'll have to say, actually, all of the profiles that we're running and that we're displaying, they're actually written in M. So at some point, we'll probably do a documentation article so you could recreate all of the histogram tables and all of the average and count distinct and so on as M queries, which then you could load as part of your model as well.
And there actually is a built-in table. Is it table.profile or table? There's a function called table.profile that you run over a table, and it'll actually give you back this data. Yeah. Yep.
Any chance that the actual connector code will be open source?
Question about open sourcing the connector code. So yeah, we've published a lot of the samples. One of the things we've talked about is the connectors that we currently ship in desktop, especially the REST-based connectors. We would be open sourcing that and just developing it in an open manner. No immediate plans, but if there's specific connectors that you'd like to see just because you think your APIs are very similar, let us know. There's lots of M code and M samples in there that we'd happily publish as samples. Oh, so the actual SDK. So what we'd like to open source, or what we've discussed at least, is if we do VS Code integration, for example, the VS Code portion itself would be open source, developed in an open manner, which is primarily the UIs. The back-end core execution engine, and really the runtime engine, would remain closed source. Yeah. Yep.
Are there any plans to address the standard connector sort of fragmentation among the different applications? Like some applications you have a subset of connectors.
So the question is, do we have plans to address the fragmentation? For example, AS supports a smaller number of connectors than Power BI Desktop, and Excel supports a different set, and Power Query Online supports a different set.
Yeah, so the principle for us is really we are a team who delivers a component and a platform, and we integrate with specific products. So in some cases, like Power BI Desktop, we do have a very tight integration, so all connectors laid up there, and it's the one that's further ahead. We also work closely with Excel and with the other teams, but they're the ones who drive the, the adoption of the connectors from the platform. We make them all available to them, and so some of the teams have different criteria than others. For example, the Excel team would only take connectors that are generally available, so many of the preview connectors in Power BI Desktop will not show up until that happens, and so on and so forth. So the analysis services team has a few other criteria as well.
And so that said, it's not a visible feature, but you can imagine the infrastructure that we had to put in place to make the custom connector framework work, right? You just drop it in, and it automatically registers itself with the system and show up. And there was a lot of metadata-driven features we had to add to the entire platform and engine and things like that. That functionality, now that's rolling out, will also make it easier for us to keep the connector experiences similar across platforms. OK, one more. So we're probably not the right people to ask about Azure Data Catalog, but if you come down to the expo, we'll find the right people. Okay. Yeah. So come down to the expo. We can talk about that. Great.
Okay. So I think we are a few minutes before the end, 5 minutes to spare. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the session and we deliver on these goals. If you liked our jokes, please make sure to call them out in the evaluation. Thank you.